You were a soldier once. Not a hero. Not the kind they make movies about. Just a man in desert camouflage standing under a sun so hot it felt personal, carrying a rifle for governments that forgot your name the moment your contract ended. You did 2 tours. One in Iraq, one somewhere your paperwork still refuses to acknowledge. You learned how to clear rooms, how to identify ambush points, how to stay awake for 40 hours when the convoy couldn't stop moving. And most importantly, you learned how to disappear inside professionalism. No emotions, no politics, no questions. That's what made you valuable. That's what got you recruited. The email arrives 11 months after you leave the military. Private security opportunity, Middle East. Tax-free salary, $240,000 a year, accommodation included, hazard pay separate. You reread the number 3 times. At first you think it's fake. Then you see the company name. You recognize it immediately. Everyone in your world does. A private military contractor that officially protects infrastructure and executives. Unofficially? They protect the kind of people governments quietly rearrange entire policies around. Oil ministers, royal families, men whose signatures move global markets. The interview happens over encrypted video call. A British man with silver hair and cold blue eyes asks you questions that don't sound like interview questions. How long can you drive under active fire before panic affects decision-making? How many exits do you identify automatically when entering a room? Could you shoot a child if the child was carrying an explosive device? You answer honestly. That's the trick with these people. They don't want morality. They want predictability. 3 weeks later, you're on a plane to the Gulf. Business class. The first time in your life. You spend 11 hours surrounded by wealth so casual it feels unreal. Men wearing watches worth more than your childhood home. Women stepping onto the plane with assistants carrying handbags like sacred objects. And through the window, somewhere over the Mediterranean, you realize something quietly disturbing. The wars you fought in? They made people very rich. The city looks impossible from the air. Glass towers rising out of endless beige desert, like someone tried to build Manhattan inside a hallucination. Highways wider than airport runways. Artificial islands shaped like palm trees. Ferraris parked outside hotels wrapped in gold-colored lights. Everything here feels expensive in a way that's almost aggressive. You're taken directly from the airport to a private compound outside the capital. The walls are 20 feet high. The gates are armored steel. The guards at the entrance carry Belgian rifles and wear tailored black uniforms with earpieces curled behind their necks like snakes. Inside the compound, there are fountains, marble imported from Italy. Palm trees flown in fully grown because nobody important here has time to wait for nature. And at the center of it all is the man you'll spend the next 4 years protecting. Prince Khalid, 38 years old. Educated in London, Oxford graduate. Owns oil fields, shipping companies, hotels, defense contracts, half a football club in Spain, and enough political influence to make cabinet ministers stand when he enters a room. He shakes your hand once. His grip is soft. His eyes aren't. You were military? He asks. Yes, sir. Good, he says. Military men understand loyalty. You don't realize until much later that he never said honor, only loyalty. Your first month is training. Not shooting, not combat. You've already done that. This is training for proximity to power. A different kind of danger entirely. You learn the prince's routines. The routes to every palace, hotel, embassy, and private airfield. The names and faces of rival families. Which foreign diplomats can be trusted? Which businessmen are secretly intelligence assets? Which military officers are loyal today and might not be tomorrow? You learn the politics of seating arrangements. Who walks first, who enters second? Who gets searched and who absolutely never gets searched no matter what intelligence says? You learn how to scan rooftops while opening a luxury car door with perfect etiquette. How to identify concealed weapons beneath custom-tailored robes. How to smile politely while preparing for gunfire. The prince travels constantly. Paris 1 week, Riyadh the next. Private islands. Meetings aboard yachts larger than naval vessels. Conferences where men in $1,000 suits quietly discuss oil production numbers that determine whether entire countries experience inflation or collapse. You stand behind him during all of it, invisible. That's the first thing you learn about protecting powerful people. You stop being a person, you become infrastructure. A moving wall between your principal and the rest of the world. Furniture with combat training, but furniture sees everything. You see ministers beg for favors while pretending they're negotiating. You see billionaires laugh too hard at jokes that aren't funny. You see senators from Western democracies arrive criticizing human rights in public speeches, then privately asking for investment deals over whiskey at midnight. You learn quickly that morality is mostly branding for people at this level. Power is the only real language. Year 1 changes your relationship with money forever. Your apartment back home felt luxurious once. Now it feels microscopic in memory. Your salary arrives monthly into offshore accounts you didn't know how to open 6 months ago. Tax-free, clean. More money than anyone in your family has ever seen. You pay off your parents' debts quietly. You buy your younger brother a car. You start wearing watches that airport security handles carefully. You tell yourself you're still the same person. Then one night you're standing beside the prince's Rolls Royce outside a hotel in Doha, wearing a suit tailored in Milan that costs more than your first deployment paycheck, and you realize something uncomfortable. You are getting used to this, the luxury, the access. The feeling of importance that comes from standing next to men the world bends around. And getting used to luxury is dangerous. Because luxury rewires your standards quietly, like water slowly changing the shape of stone. It starts in Istanbul. Trade summit, crowded streets. Your team spots surveillance first. Then the shooting begins. Bullets hit armored glass, people scream. The convoy escapes, 2 attackers die. The prince survives untouched. That night he raises a glass, to loyalty. Before that moment, it was just a job. After it, you understand. By protecting him, you've made his enemies yours too. Years pass. Paranoia becomes instinct. You scan exits. Watch hands before faces. Sleep lightly. The prince explains it one night on a private jet. Oil is power. Fuel affects economies. Economies affect governments. Governments fall. That's when you realize you are not guarding a man. You are guarding an empire disguised as a person. Eventually, violence stops feeling shocking. Disappearances, accidents, silent threats hidden beneath luxury and diplomacy. Then comes the final moment. A teenager rushes toward the prince. You slam him to the ground instantly. No weapon, just a phone, a kid wanting a photo. That's when you realize what you've become, not a protector, a weapon waiting to react. You resign a month later. The prince gives you a watch. You've been loyal. Not good, not honorable, useful. You leave rich. But airports still make you scan crowds. Small noises still wake you at night. Because empires change the men who guard them.